Hi, I'm Devin Moore, your host for Humanity Rising's Race to Speak Up podcast and founder of hashtag Race to Speak Up, an anti-bullying organization. The Race to Speak Up podcast is a place where we have open and engaging conversations about bullying prevention, how to be upstanders, and how we are making a positive change in our communities. So the question now is, how do you race to speak up? Hello and welcome to the Race to Speak Up podcast. I'm your host, Devin Moore. Today's guest is Tara Lynn Townes. Tara is an impassioned speaker, author, motivator, inventor, and developmental therapist. She is a philanthropist and mentor of the Women's Welfare to Work program and founder of Tiny Be Mighty. Tara is the CEO of TBB Enterprises and inventor of the Bullying Buddy app. When her son Corey was diagnosed with a condition known as dwarfism, there was little doubt in Tara's mind that her son was born with a mighty purpose. Welcome, Tara. How are you?
Hi, Devin. I'm great. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thank you for being here.
Yay.
Why don't you tell us about how your journey began? Can you take us back to the day that you learned about your son Corey being bullied?
Yes. Corey was about 7 years old, and he began to come home not having his lunch money. That was the first sign. I'll get to what really pushed me into this. But he kept saying, oh no, I bought a friend lunch. Even that little, they learned how to cover up. Oh no, I lost it. Oh, so I knew that day after day, you can't like lose your lunch money every day or buy a friend lunch every day. So I knew something was up, but he didn't talk to me about it. Then he came home with missing skin on his chin, and that did it for me. So what they were doing, because he's so little, they were holding at the time, they were holding things above his head to frustrate him intentionally. And they were also stepping on the back of his feet so that he can fall, so that they can laugh. And when he came home that day with missing skin, that was enough. I went up to the principal's office and I said, this is now skin missing. The lunch money, okay, but skin missing, something must be done. And I'm happy to say the school's in Irvine, California, and they were very, very supportive. That day, she said, anything you want me to do or you want to do. Didn't even know we were going to be speaking, did not know that this journey would have catapulted to where we are today. But that was the beginning of it.
Oh, wow. Well, it hurts my heart to hear that your son was going through all of that. How old was he when that happened?
It was 7 years old.
Wow. This shows you that bullying can happen at any age, but it's not right to go through that just for something that you are, just for being who you are. Can you explain dwarfism to us?
Yes, dwarfism, or the big fancy word. He likes to use the big word because he calls himself a science project since it's genetic. So achondroplasia is a genetic condition that stunts growth. And so we don't know what his final determination of how tall he would be, but it had him very, very, very tiny as a child. So he's 13 now, and obviously he's a little bit taller, but that's what it is, though. It's a genetic condition that makes you smaller than everyone else.
Wow, that's interesting. But it shows you that we do have our differences. It's just a matter now of embracing them. After your son was bullied, how long was it before you founded Tiny Be Mighty? And can you tell us about the organization?
So right after he was bullied, with the principal, once again, she said any support we needed. So what I asked her is if I would be able to come to the classroom and speak to the children, because the main reason, we obviously know, and I'm a developmental therapist by trade, is that when children are not exposed to things early, they're afraid of it. And so it makes them, kind of be challenged with identity, maybe even within themselves or other people. And it just makes them, the behaviors are how they show us that they're afraid or they're not understanding what's going on. So we spoke in the classroom, but I'm going to tell you what happened. Corey actually spoke. I just spoke a little bit. I thought I was going to be the speaker, so it was fine. But what happened was there was a little boy in the class that had alopecia, and he was able to wear a happy hat, is what the school called it. When Corey was finished speaking, He took control, 7 years old. He sat in a chair, he had a mic. I was like, whoa. And he said these last words, "It's okay to be different." And the teacher in the back was crying. There were some parents there, but the little boy stood up and he took his hat off and he said, "Corey is my superhero." He said, he calls it, sad hair. I guess these are the words that his family. He said, "I have sad hair and I get to wear my happy hat and I'm going to take it off and I don't need to wear my happy hat anymore." And in that moment, I literally knew this is a calling. This is not a situation or a circumstance. This is a calling. And so I went home and literally a couple of weeks later, I began to say, you know what, I think there needs to be a book out here about this. So I wrote the book, Tiny But Mighty. And then a few weeks later, just developed and began the process of incorporating our nonprofit. And it's now, 7 years, almost 6 years old. So very, very excited. So in answer to your question, it happened simultaneously. I would say a few weeks after I wrote the book, in a couple of days. And then obviously the nonprofit took about 3 weeks to be approved.
Oh, wow. Well, it warms my heart to know that your son, was able to so briefly speak about
Yes.
his, again, something that he naturally is or has, which is dwarfism. And I see that encouraged the kid who had alopecia, which warms my heart even more.
Yep.
I know that Corey played a part in helping you write the book. So what did you do?
So I got stumbled after a few days of writing. I was stuck on how, because traditionally we always see, things being defeated in certain ways. But I wanted children to use their thinking skills to defeat. So in the book, there's a little prince and there's a big giant. And I did not want it to be, I wanted it to be something different. So they used their thinking skills. So I kind of got stuck on how are we going to defeat the giants with thinking skills and make it still, exciting and kid friendly and what have you. And excuse me, Corey, he came downstairs one day. He said, "Mom, I have it." And I said, "Okay, well, what is it?" And I'm sitting here like, almost like, okay, correct, because it's probably gonna be this little adolescent. Hello, he's a kid, it's a children's book. And he said, "Sleep dust, Mommy. We can put them to sleep, the giants to sleep by sleep dust, and then we can tie them up." and, and that is, I don't want to give away the entire story or the book because we want people to read it, but that is how we defeated the giants. And I give him credit, for that part in the book because he did help me.
Well, I'm glad he helped you with that. Going back to Corey and you speaking at schools, what else do you speak about?
Corey always speaks about his experience, but when we speak together, obviously he goes first and then I'll go, what have you. But what I speak about is, first of all, the role of the bully, the role of the watch. I have a new book coming out, Are You Raising a Bully? Because once again, it's not about the aftermath of the behavior. It's about correcting it so that it doesn't even have to, redirecting it in a pre-operational stage of development, which is really little, like when you're 0 to 5. This is when empathy should be implemented and different things about embracing diversity. So I speak about the 7 types of bullying because some children or adolescents don't even know what social bullying is, like when your friends are taken away from you. And we have children actually taking their lives behind. Before the pandemic, social bullying was like a very big reason why they did that. But I had a few parents say, "I didn't even know that was bullying. I didn't even know that if someone makes a pass at you as a kid, or they're saying, 'Hey, you're dressing too sexy,' or 'Hey, your skirt is too short,' and the different names that drive people into a suicidal mode. That's sexual bullying. There's so many different types of bullying, but we hone in on, emotional, physical, social, racial, hate crimes, different things like that. And I speak about not only the definition of it, but what it really looks like. So kind of break down scenarios of what it looks like. That's one part of it. And then to the parents, are you raising a bully? This is why I titled the book this name, because a lot of times as parents, we miss certain things when our children are 2 and 3, and we think it's cute when they're dragging the cat across the floor using aggression that early. We think it's funny, when they're sitting on the back of a dog or they're squeezing and just using aggression to where it should not be at that level. Or when siblings are fighting with each other, it gets written off as sibling rivalry when in fact it's, past that. It's extreme aggression, it's targeted aggression, which is bullying. And we definitely break down the definition of bullying, and then who is the prototype of the bully? What does a bully really look like? What drives him? There's a psychology with all of the components.
Yeah.
There's a psychology with the bully. I call the watcher for a reason, and he's an interesting character in my book because he's very crucial to redirecting the bullying. Remember, he's not being bullied, but yet he's capturing it, and then it goes viral, and then people, want to die behind that or commit suicide behind that. So it's an interesting melting pot of different psychological components that people really don't even look that deep. And it's not kids being kids when your child's coming home with missing skin, because my son was. And it's definitely not kids being kids when children ages 7 to 17 are taking their lives behind it. It's a serious, serious epidemic.
I agree with you. And I'm glad that you're writing a book about it, because it really does. A lot of bullying truly does happen. The mentality really does happen and come from your home environment. This is something that I do actually tend to say, because people have actually came up to me and asked me, why does the bully their victim or the one that's being bullied? Why do they do this? And I'm always saying, it could come from a home environment, a place that you are mainly in. And then you just take that out on that certain person or certain people, unfortunately.
Yes.
And it's of course not right. You already understand when your son's coming home with a scraped chin, skin off of his chin, or these other different effects and these other different signs, that means that you really need to do something. And you did do something. You went up to the school and you talked to them about it. You were allowed to speak at that school, which I'm very happy about.
Yes.
And you continue to do this work. And even through your bullying buddy app, which I'd love for you to talk about, it allows for others to report bullying. Can you tell us more about the bullying buddy app?
Yes, I'm very excited about that because as I did my research all through the years, I'm sitting here, and as a therapist, you definitely study statistics a lot, and you pay attention to them a lot in a different way. And I'm saying, what is the driving force? Who's behind it? Because that's how you have to correct it. You have to identify the breakdown right before you have a breakthrough. So I started to see, like, we have everything out there, every app for everything else. And so when I, began, the vision came for the bullying buddy, and I actually have two, which I'll speak about in a minute. Is Stomp is behind me as well. That's the adult version. So we're hitting every violation that a human being can do to another human being, and we'll get into that. But with the bullying buddy, I started, looking at apps that, were out there for it. And I'm just saying this, they're great that they're there, but why are they not being downloaded? Why are they not being implemented in the schools? And they only have one component. And the one component to what's out there is that, you can definitely record, but you only can report anonymously. So I said, this is wonderful and that's great, but this is why we still have the issue. You must know who these individuals are so that we can fix it and we can address it. That's great to be anonymous because it is a way where you're going to get information, but it would be more empowering, is what I thought, is if you had the choice to be anonymous or not. So what it does is it records in real time. So you have the app, Devin, I have the app, I'm the mom, you're the high school student, and someone's doing something to you. You say emergency, instantly the app will begin to record. And it's recording what's happening. The minute you have something going on, guess what I get? An alert, bling, and so does the school, and so does the bus driver, if it's occurring on the bus driver. So now the child or the individual has support. They're not alone in this, right? So that's why I named it the buddy, the bullying buddy. It's your buddy. I know right away, the school knows. The school can come to your location and stop it. The school can come to your rescue. I can chat with you immediately. Like, Devin, I'm right here. Do I need to come over there? Is it? I know what's going on. I can see everyone involved as well, which is the interesting part. So a lot of parents, I don't know what's going on. I didn't know she was feeling bad. I didn't know he was bullying people. People just keep saying they don't know, and I don't take excuses. So you got to know, okay? You have to know to fix this. So admin also knows. Also within the app, it records for 10 minutes. So you know, and it tracks where you are for 10 minutes. You and I both know you can be bullied in the bathroom, and then you go down the hallway, and it will follow you to the hallway and continue on, right?
Yeah.
So it records for 10 minutes, so I know what's going on with you. Also, too, your data is the school has the data. I have the data. It's proof now of the bullying because it's in real time. You also can upload photos. Let's just say something happened to you once again in the bathroom. I say that because this is where a lot of the bullying goes down, in the bathroom. And if someone, punch you in your eye, or you have a little bruise and you didn't want to tell, you can take a picture of it and you can upload it. The watcher has a place in the app. So this was one thing that I thought about. When someone's getting beat up like tremendously, how are they going to say emergency and pull it out? But a watcher can, and the watcher always does. So there's a place in the app for the watcher, and this is all empowerment tools. Parents, administration, the bully can go in and chat and get help. Also within the app, there's a therapeutic station in there. We call it the information station. They can click on the suicide prevention hotline right from the app. They can also reach out to life coaches and therapists straight from the app. It's culturally diverse. So there's therapists from all different cultures, because I know sometimes people are just afraid, or they feel like, oh, they won't understand this. So we did that in there. There's a bereavement section in the app, to where you go in there and you actually can see how many children we're losing. All the while, this is a data set collection beast, because we need the CDC, or the powers that be, should I say, to have these accurate numbers so that we get accurate policies and procedures in place. And also in the app, which is patent pending, and this is why, because it does so many different things, but straight from Snap, straight from Facebook, and straight from IG. So my kids say, do not say Instagram, say IG, mom. So I have to be kind of cool, Devin, we're dealing with adolescents. They always correct me. But anyway, right from the app, inside of it, you have your social media platforms. You can click on it and it will take you, let's just say you're being bullied on Facebook. It can take you to Facebook, and Facebook. There was a little girl who took her life. Obviously, I cannot name children. We work with families directly. And so there's a lot of legalities to it, but I can say the story. The little girl took her life in California. She was 10, and they were bullying her about everything. But what happened was it stayed on social media for a long time. And according to mom, Facebook, she tried, and they just never took it down. And it just took so long that the little girl took her life. So that never left my spirit. And I'm thinking social media needs to know immediately. You have these platforms on here, there should be laws. And that's another thing. I'm going to run for senator, because I want to get a lot of these policies and procedures put in place. But there should be laws for Facebook and Instagram and all of these places, or a special sector in there, that they have a time frame to delete these accounts of these violators and to block them, because they have the power. They have the power to delete you. But see, when we sign up for these things, we agree that all of everything falls on us. So I think that if we start pushing them a little bit, their guidelines will be a little bit stiffer and harder for people to put pictures up of people or videos up of people that mortify them, to where they don't want to return to school, or don't even want to live anymore. So that is also within the app. Like I said, it does so many different things, but you record, you report, you collect data, and you get the assistance you need, all within the app.
Tara, that is amazing. Just hearing you speak about all these different things that are part of that app. I am so happy that you created that, because I I agree with you. Bullying should just not be a part of your day, and these children should not be taking their lives because they feel as though there's no way out. They need something that's set in stone, like the Bullying Buddy app, to show them that we're here for you, we support you, and we want to help you. We have people like us who are working to educate others about bullying prevention, and of course, on top of that, how to be upstanders and raising awareness about other things that are important to us. Like with you, dwarfism, you're raising awareness about that. And I just am amazed, like, because I know when I started my Race to Speak Up movement, I have been working to get an anti-bullying law passed, which would keep students in schools safe from bullying. And a part of that is reporting not only to teachers, but teachers reporting it to school superintendents, so that, of course, the school superintendents can put it on their website. Of course, everything's anonymous, but to put it out there and show what's going on in schools and how are they handling it. I mean, of course, a part of bullying is how is the teachers handling it? And I just am so happy with what you're doing. And then, of course, you're working with becoming a senator, which I want you to tell me about now. Can you go more into that?
Yes, and I also want to say you brought up a very important part. The app also supports teachers because teachers get bullied. There was a story done, my team sent me this story, this news story in Houston. They got all these teachers together who were bullied by second graders and third graders, children who stabbed them with pencils. A teacher had his ribs broken by a child banging his head into his rib. And they were told, don't say anything because it's your job. So that's what I said. It's such a bigger thing than what people even know of and what they can imagine, but they also get bullied, and there's a special place inside of the app for the teacher as well. So I just wanted to throw that. Now, as I'm moving along with this, and we meet with a lot of governors, state reps, we have a lot of support, starting to build. The Bullying Buddy was just presented in Georgia on the floor, the House. And so that was about 2 months ago. So we're really, really happy about that. But in hindsight, when I think about it, or when I started thinking about it, I said, you know what, I'm meeting with these state reps, and the common theme that they keep saying to me is, Tara, we will help you, give us the data. So now we have this happening through the app. We get a lot of data and a lot of different credible data, not just what we said. But anyway, I started to say, you know what, when people run, they have a theme that they run for. And I'm not really meeting a lot of them who have the theme of bullying, right? They have education, they have women's rights, I mean, different things like that. But I didn't see a whole, from all of the representatives that we've met, I've only met one, that it was a part of her cause, not the full cause. So I said, you know what, someone needs to be in there in the House fighting. I just felt that it's time for me to take it to the next level, because yes, we can have the app. I also have a curriculum. I'll talk about that a little bit to back the app up. But the laws, nothing really, I mean, we can change a lot, but we really can make a change like what you're fighting for with laws. And sometimes when you're just a visitor, it's not really their passion to do it. I mean, they want to help you, but they have their own causes. And so I said, you know something, I'm just going to run for office. And then I had two advisors say, don't start off as a state rep. You can be a senator. So I said, let's do it. So that is my next goal to begin in 2022. So.
Wait, so what city in Georgia are you running for senator in?
I actually am in Arizona. So I'm in the outskirts of the Phoenix area, but we have a sister company. My business partner, Tyrone Poole, he's a former NFL player, and he lives in Georgia. So we have two offices. So yeah, that's how it got to be presented down there in Georgia.
Well, awesome. I definitely want to hear more about that as time goes on.
Yes.
I mean, of course, you already have my full support, especially if I was in Arizona. Oh, so tell us more about the curriculum.
Yes, the curriculum is so cool. It's called Be Brave. And it is SEL, so social and emotional learning, but it is based on empathy. Another thing that I'm hearing, meeting all of these people and all through the years, is in the schools, we meet with superintendents, teachers. These are people who we present the app to. And they all say, I love the app. It's amazing, but I love the curriculum because the curriculum is going to be the retention part of it. And that is the goal. Once again, we can band-aid the issue, but if we don't really dig underneath the psychological component, and which is empathy, it's a lack of empathy. It's not like rocket science. It's a lack of empathy. And like you said, you hit it on the head. That comes from home. Those lessons and those character traits are built from your external environment and even your microsystem, which is your home environment. If they're not speaking that, or I don't want to blame parents or anyone, I just want to fix the issue. Sometimes you're in a daycare, sometimes you're in a school, sometimes you have a babysitter, a big brother, big sister that exposes you to bullying or being a bully. Okay, so these things, will all do that. So anyway, the Be Brave curriculum is from 0 all the way to 100 years old because it goes along with my adult app as well. And what the curriculum does is, so it's exciting, it's experiential. So there's different exercises to do. I can give you one. One is the giver game. So we give the kids 5 minutes and $5 to change as many lives as you can. So my kids, and we let them obviously navigate through this, but I tested this with my kids. We live right next to a hospital. I called the hospital and said, my daughter said, Mom, we can get 100, we can go to the dollar store and get 100 lollipops, and that would be 100 kids, and it's still under $5. So I'm racing over, I put the kids in the car. Now, we wanted to give them to it's the children's hospital. And the nurse said, obviously, you cannot come up here. This is prior to COVID. You cannot come up here, but this is amazing. So yeah, we'll take the lollipops and give it to the kids. So she met me downstairs. We did this. It was 5 minutes, $5, and there were 80 kids on that floor. So in 5 minutes, we changed 80 lives. And changing meaning it was just a gesture of love. It was a gesture of kindness, and it's empathy. It's teaching kids, wow, there are people, you think you have something going on, but there are children fighting for their lives from cancer every day. That's not your story. So the more we show children that there are people that are worse off than what they feel, then the bullying, the mentality of that begins to shrink, because they're like, wow, I am being bullied and this is serious, but I don't have to take my life behind this. I have support. So this is just one example. The curriculum has a garden where we teach them respect and, caring for things and empathy, and even death when the flower dies, or feeding, responsibility. There's little gardens that you can have in the classroom. So it's a really, really neat curriculum. And once again, it supports both of the apps, and our goal is to have it in every school. We have 14,000 districts to present to. We just began our journey, and everyone's really, really thinking it's amazing. So we need to get it in every school.
I know we really do need a curriculum like that implemented into schools to really teach students about empathy. I know that through Humanity Rising, I work to create an anti-cyberbullying curriculum. It's called #BehindTheScreen. And so with #BehindTheScreen, we have different activities in it. And I'll tell you about one of them.
Okay.
Dealing with positivity or positive affirmations. If you go on my social media, you'll see I post a lot of different positive affirmations like be kind, be positive, make a change, like you are amazing, you are, like positive affirmations like that. And so a part of the curriculum is promoting those positive affirmations. It can of course be online, but just remembering that in your head every day. We're working to put that in our heads and remember that for every day. It's like an energy boost. It's an energy boost. It makes you feel good. I mean, I know there's times where I just post out positive affirmations really just for myself, honestly, because I need to see that. I need to see that. And I know that sharing that with others works to not only make myself happy, but others happy.
Definitely. I love that, Devin. I'm an affirmation queen. So I love it. I love it. And it really does help people. It does. It's all about empowerment, what you're speaking of, what we're doing over here with, the Bullying Buddy and Tiny Be Mighty. It's just about letting people know that they really have everything they need on the inside to create on the outside. It's just knowing that you have that inner power and strength. So that's awesome. I love that.
Well, I love what you're doing with the empathy curriculum.
Thank you.
There's so many different ways that we can work to create that positive change.
Yes.
I know that another way that you're working to better spread your message is by you're actually going to be launching an anti-bullying shirt campaign. Can you tell us about that?
I can. So we have well, last year we did this. Well, not last year. I keep saying last year. The pandemic has me, but 2 years ago before the pandemic, we had 30 NFL players wear our No Bullies in Our Zone t-shirts. And it was really cool. So they wore the shirts and then they had it on their social media tagging other people. This year, we are going to have it as a challenge, like the ice bucket challenge. So we have a Walt Harris is actually going to start it off us. He's also a former NFL player, and then share it with his friends. But we're all going to wear the Bullying Buddy t-shirts, and they're online now. But we're going to wear the t-shirts, and then we're just going to tag other people, everyone, influencers, teachers, parents, kids. I even sent it to a baby. I had one custom made for a little baby because I feel that life begins there, right? And that's where we train them to grow. And I will be putting everything out on social media. And so now the proceeds of this, just want to let everyone know, is the nonprofit is Tiny Be Mighty. And what we do is we support, once again, families who have lost children. Like I said, I have a big new family now of these moms and dads that have lost their children. Sadly to say how we met, but we love each other, and they're my motivation outside of Corey. They really are. And so a lot of the a portion of the proceeds will go to helping these families. I wanted to mention this, Devin, and I don't like to be a Debbie Downer, not ever. I'm like you on social media. I really live this way. I'm happy and I want other people to be happy, but we have to be real and show the seriousness to this when it doesn't get addressed. But a lot of these families, number one, they don't have money to bury children because they're not expecting to bury them, right? And then they also, go through things, mentally and physically that kind of make it not easy for them to return to work right away. There's, a couple of moms that needed to move and they can't move. Could you imagine living in a home where your child and you just don't have the resources? Or how are you buying a new home right now? It's COVID going on. So it's really hard to live with the aftermath. And this is things that people, they don't even think about it because they don't know about it. Or maybe they don't know someone that has gone through that. So that's what the proceeds from the t-shirts, a portion of the proceeds will go to helping these families. So I wanted to mention that.
And I know you'll continue to spread the positive message.
Yes.
I know I will too. And of course, we'll support each other.
Yes.
And I know everyone needs to support our anti-bullying causes because it's really a big issue. It's something that really does matter.
It does.
I want to ask you about what your hopes and dreams are moving forward.
Okay, that's a good question, and it's a real deep question. But my hopes and dreams, number one, obviously, is for every school to have this, and not just schools. If you homeschool your children and you take them to dance and karate, everywhere a child is or adolescence is an opportunity for a bully. So it's not just in a school. But the goal is to have everyone have the curriculum to be into. But my true goal is just to save lives and to empower people enough to know that they do not. So in a perfect world, people feel so supported that they never, or children or adolescents feel so supported that they never feel the need to take their lives, and to know that they're supported and loved. And then once again, that love is spread all over, because the breakdown is not having empathy or a lack of empathy, but the true blessing and the true treatment to this illness is love. And so, we can say like, oh, we all need to love each other, but we don't all love each other in this world. And this is why we have a lot of issues, the hate crimes and different things that we have going on. So I would love to that's my dreams, that everyone loves or at least acts out of love. You don't have to love a stranger, but you definitely love the human part of them, not to harm them mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it is.
We see a lot on social media, more so hate and negativity than positivity. How do you think we can change that?
Once again, starting in the pre-operational stage of development. That's 0 to 3, well, 0 to 5, really, in some cases. We need to, this is what the curriculum does, by the way, because it also is for preschools. We need to afford children opportunities to feel wonderful within enough to make other people feel wonderful. So exercises, books, language, like you said, affirmations, that's part of the curriculum. So I'm so excited that I'll share all of this with you too. And I'm going to send you the Bullying Buddy downloads. But the curriculum is all about, loving yourself first. Then we need to love ourselves before we love other people. But how do we? That's the question. We know all these things, Devin, and people talk about all these things. But even taking children outside and letting them see, and I reference children a lot because we're seeing the aftermath. Let's hit it before we get into middle school. That's, quote unquote, where it happens the most. Let's hit it before then. Take them outside. Let them know that, stepping on a bug, this is psychology, but it's really a good tip. When you see a bug going by, I did this with my children. I used to own a preschool as well and a daycare. Don't let them kill things just because they're a bug. If the bug is offending you, trying to sting you, that's something else. But if it's just an ant walking by, and I say these little things because they're huge. You're teaching them respect for life. That is the key, respect for life. And it begins way earlier than middle school. It begins in infancy when you give love to your infant. So it's just a matter of, in my opinion, is to constantly have experiences for them that create love and respect and honor for other people. That's where we really lack. This is why we have a lack of empathy. And this is why we have hate crimes and different things of that nature.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean. There was actually this one time I saw it on social media. There was an exercise that this parent did and it caught on. It was dealing with how children can understand what bullying feels like. And this, it was a mother and then their child. And so the mother held up this paper and she told the child to keep saying some rude things to it. And every time that the child would, she would crumple it, crush it up. And then she would open it up and just, you could see it was all crushed up and stuff. That's how bullying felt. It still affects you, you know? And like you said, we do need to start educating the youth at very young ages. I know middle school, something that I've noticed is just like, that's when people start forming their cliques. And that's when people start realizing, oh my goodness, we look different. And, oh my goodness. Whoa, that person looks different from me. Let me not talk to him. Oh, she has brown hair. I have blonde hair. Let me not talk to her. Like these differences, that's what leads to, that's what leads to division. That's not something that should be a part of our day. Do you have anything to add on to that?
Yes, I do. I wanted to add on this to that. I saw that exercise. I thought it was amazing. And Corey and I did one too that's, especially on my LinkedIn, it got so many views. But the principle of it was we took the wood board and then we pounded the nail in it. I kept saying a terrible thing to him. You're ugly, you're this, you're that. This is what people say. And then I would bang the nail. He would hold the board and I would bang the nail into it. But what I want to say is, in hindsight of that, the exercise was powerful because you see the visual. And this is an answer to your question, to even do more things on, in the high school level, in the college level, visual things that bring people together. This is where we're going to see more of a diversion of the division that is created when people don't know how to handle someone being different. But the principle of that wood exercise was that Corey was banging in, and I was saying, do you see how hard it is? How hard is it to make someone feel bad, right? But how easy is it to pull it out? You can say sorry, that's quick. You don't have to do all of the banging. But the true essence of the project, and Corey said it, not me, and it wasn't scripted. I said, what does this make you feel like when you see this? A lot of holes is what he said. See, the holes are going to stay there if the antidote is not fixed. We can take a word on us and then we can do positive affirmations, we can feel great about ourselves. But if it's too much and they're too heavy and it's too many experiences, we can patch it up, but in the interim, you're still going to have a hole in you. So it's about making people feel whole within themselves, because they're just presenting half. I call it halves and wholes because it is what it is. When you violate people, you make other people, when you try to diminish their characters or you try to make them feel less than, it's because you don't feel great then, you see. And so it's about doing things that make people feel great so that they do things that make other people feel great. And that's what, to me, is going to fix this issue. And even with culturally diverse or identities or just different things, we have different everything in the world, which I love how God made us so different, right? But your question, everyone's question, is just the truth. How do we all come together? Look at what we have going on now. And it's just feeling good within. And it's asking society to shift that mindset. A lot of work. But once again, I love what you described to me about the positive affirmations and the hashtags. This is our world. You guys love technology. So, hey, the curriculum, the app, these are all tools, but they definitely are the resolution, especially if they're practiced.
Yeah, they really are the resolution.
Mhm.
That's why we have people like us who are working to educate and to have this platform. Like, we have our platforms and we're using them to create good.
Yes.
You have Bullying Buddy. I have hashtag Race to Speak Up, my anti-bullying organization. And I have Humanity Rising, my Humanity Rising's Race to Speak Up podcast. I have these platforms, and you have this platform or multiple platforms where we work to really educate others. And going back to Corey, what's the meaning behind his name, Encore? I love that name. What's the meaning behind his name?
I don't know about Encore. That was no, I sing, and so I love music. His dad was a recording artist as well, is a recording artist, excuse me. And so we decided to have, this is my ex-husband, we decided to name the children music names. So we thought Corey was a girl and it was Symphony. So when I got surprised and he wasn't a girl, I said, okay, we have to come up with something grand. But Encore, give me more, give me more. After he was born, we didn't know. I was just trying to be clever with the name, but I really knew that he was meant to have that name, because you can't get enough of him, and that's what an encore is. Standing ovation, give me more. So that's what I say about him and his name.
I love that. Very
Thank
unique,
you.
and that's very memorable. And he is a very impressive person.
Thank you.
Speaking at these different schools along with his mother, I think that's really cool.
He is finishing up a book. It's a beautiful book. It's called He's Not Different. We're co-writing it, and he is the main writer on it. And this book is amazing. It's about a kid who has upwardophobia. And so everything on this child is upside down. And he's the only one in the town with it and school with it. And then I'm just gonna give a little, because it's an interesting book. And he literally, I went to take a nap one day. I woke up and this dude had this on the computer. I'm like, oh my goodness. I said, did you write this? He's like, well, who else wrote it, Mom? Of course I wrote it. I said, oh God. So he has to, I love this because I want to bring this up about, bullying and identity and everything, but they have the option. Another child comes in the neighborhood, happens to be his neighbor. They get bullied in school and everything, but they have an option. I guess this doctor comes in the town and they have an option to change because of everything that they're going through in the town and in school. They become best friends. And they have an option to say, we can be like everyone else, or we can make everyone else accept us because of the level of self-acceptance. So I'm going to leave to the public of what they decide to do and what they go through. But the book will be out in the next, I think it's by October that's, dwarfism. Did you know that it was also Dwarfism Awareness Month?
Oh, wow. Okay. So
it's amazing. It's amazing how I didn't even know this until, we were a part of the LPA, the Little People's Association. And in October, someone tagged me years ago, and they tagged me saying, dwarfism awareness. And I said, wait a minute, we know that it's, suicide awareness is I think that's in September, but we know that it's bullying awareness. And then we have dwarfism. And I said, oh my God, both of our causes are in the same month. So we then started doing huge events every October, to honor both of the causes. But I don't think it's intentional. God and the universe are definitely, not intentional, I'm saying that it is intentional. So yeah, that is the book, and we're going to release it in October. And it's an amazing story.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to come out also. I know I'll definitely want to read that. And
Thank
it
you.
really is cool how that's in the same month. I think that's interesting, but
It
I
is.
think it's a gift from God when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
So Tara, my last question for you is how can people find you? Tell us your social media platforms and your website.
Awesome. So the website is bullyingbuddy.world because it's a world issue. And also too, with the adult app is Stomp, and that's stomp.world. And on social media, we are Bullying Buddy on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook under Bullying Buddy. And then we're on Twitter under Bullying Buddy as well. And then I'm Tara Lynn Townes. So if anyone wants to connect on LinkedIn, professionally, superintendents, teachers, policy and procedure makers, everyone. I will give an awesome and amazing presentation and share with why everyone needs to have the curriculum Be Brave and then Bullying Buddy and Stomp app in their hands.
Well, thank you, Tara, for sharing your journey.
Devin.
And thank you all for listening. I hope to see you at future Race to Speak Up podcasts. If you have any questions about the Race to Speak Up podcast, feel free to contact me at racetospeakup@gmail.com. Make sure to follow at Race to Speak Up on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for updates on future podcasts. Join the Humanity Rising movement. Humanity Rising offers scholarships for students making a difference in the world through service. Visit www.humanityrising.org for more information. And remember to ask yourself this question: how do you race to speak up?